Welcome to Luna English. Today is the advanced round for a senior engineer. We'll disagree well in design reviews, run a blameless postmortem, answer tough interviews, and manage people sideways. These are the idioms senior engineers use under pressure, so take your time and follow along. Here's how it works. First, listen carefully. You'll hear each sentence twice. Then, when you hear the beep, repeat after me out loud. Ready? Let's begin. Let's start with weighing trade-offs in a design review. I'd lean toward the simpler approach here. I'd lean toward the simpler approach here. The trade-off is speed versus flexibility. The trade-off is speed versus flexibility. That could bite us down the road. That could bite us down the road. Let's not over-engineer this for now. Let's not over-engineer this for now. I hear you, but I'd push back gently. I hear you, but I'd push back gently. What problem are we actually solving? What problem are we actually solving? This design doesn't scale well. This design doesn't scale well. We'd be taking on a lot of tech debt. We'd be taking on a lot of tech debt. Let's keep it loosely coupled. Let's keep it loosely coupled. I'm not sold on the microservices angle. I'm not sold on the microservices angle. Can we validate that assumption first? Can we validate that assumption first? Let's future-proof it without gold plating. Let's future-proof it without gold plating. What's the blast radius if this fails millions? What's the blast radius if this fails millions? I'd rather optimize for readability. I'd rather optimize for readability. Both options are reasonable, honestly. Both options are reasonable, honestly. Let's not paint ourselves into a corner. Let's not paint ourselves into a corner. This adds complexity for little gain. This adds complexity for little gain. Let's spike it before we commit. Let's spike it before we commit. I'd defer that decision until later. I'd defer that decision until later. The devil is in the details here. The devil is in the details here. Let's align on the North Star first. Let's align on the North Star first. I can live with either, honestly. I can live with either, honestly. Let's write a short design doc. Let's write a short design doc. That's a solid point. I'll concede it. That's a solid point. I'll concede it. Let's disagree and commit for now. Let's disagree and commit for now. We can always revisit this later. We can always revisit this later. Next, let's stay calm through an incident and postmortem. We're seeing errors spike in production. We're seeing errors spike in production. Let's roll back first and dig in later. Let's roll back first and dig in later. The root cause was a bad config change. The root cause was a bad config change. This isn't about blame, it's about process. This isn't about blame, it's about process. Let's add an alert so it never slips again. Let's add an alert so it never slips again. Who's the incident commander right now? Who's the incident commander right now? Let's stop the bleeding first. Let's stop the bleeding first. Can someone page the on-call engineer? Can someone page the on-call engineer? Let's keep a running timeline. Let's keep a running timeline. The blast radius was smaller than feared. The blast radius was smaller than feared. Let's keep this postmortem blameless. Let's keep this postmortem blameless. The system let this slip through. The system let this slip through. We lacked guardrails on the deploy. We lacked guardrails on the deploy. Let's write up the action items. Let's write up the action items. The fix mitigated most of the impact better. The fix mitigated most of the impact better. Let's quantify the customer impact. Let's quantify the customer impact. We caught it within a few minutes. We caught it within a few minutes. Detection was slower than I'd like. Detection was slower than I'd like. Let's add a canary for next time. Let's add a canary for next time. The rollback bought us some time. The rollback bought us some time. Let's not repeat this pattern. Let's not repeat this pattern. I'll own the follow-up on this. I'll own the follow-up on this. Every incident is a learning opportunity. Every incident is a learning opportunity. Let's assign owners to each item. Let's assign owners to each item. The alerting was too noisy to trust. The alerting was too noisy to trust. Let's tune the thresholds down. Let's tune the thresholds down. Thanks everyone for staying calm. Thanks everyone for staying calm. Let's share the postmortem widely. Let's share the postmortem widely. Now, let's handle system design and behavioral questions. Let me make sure I understand the problem. Let me make sure I understand the problem. Can I assume the input fits in memory? Can I assume the input fits in memory? I'd start with a simple brute force approach. I'd start with a simple brute force approach. We could trade memory for speed here. We could trade memory for speed here. What kind of scale are we designing for? What kind of scale are we designing for? Let me talk through my thinking out loud. Let me talk through my thinking out loud. The bottleneck is likely the database tactic. The bottleneck is likely the database tactic. I'd cache the hot path first. I'd cache the hot path first. Let me consider the edge cases too. Let me consider the edge cases too. How would this behave under heavy load? How would this behave under heavy load? I'd shard the data by user ID. I'd shard the data by user ID. That's a fair follow-up question. That's a fair follow-up question. Let me refine my earlier answer. Let me refine my earlier answer. I'd add a cue to smooth out spikes. I'd add a cue to smooth out spikes. Tell me about a time you disagreed with someone. Tell me about a time you disagreed with someone. We had a real conflict over the deadline. We had a real conflict over the deadline. I owned the mistake and fixed it fast. I owned the mistake and fixed it fast. Looking back, I'd communicate earlier. Looking back, I'd communicate earlier. I'm proud of how the team pulled through. I'm proud of how the team pulled through. Let me frame this with a quick example. Let me frame this with a quick example. The situation was tense but manageable, sometimes incomprehensible. The situation was tense but manageable, sometimes incomprehensible. My task was to keep the launch on track. My task was to keep the launch on track. I took the initiative to unblock the team. I took the initiative to unblock the team. The result was a smooth, on-time launch. The result was a smooth, on-time launch. My biggest weakness is saying yes too often. My biggest weakness is saying yes too often. I've been working on delegating more. I've been working on delegating more. I handled the feedback with an open mind. I handled the feedback with an open mind. Do you have any questions for me? Do you have any questions for me? Then let's push back and manage expectations gracefully. I want to set expectations early here. I want to set expectations early here. We can do it fast or we can do it right. We can do it fast or we can do it right. I'll need another engineer to hit that date. I'll need another engineer to hit that date. Let's take that one offline. Let's take that one offline. I'd rather underpromise and overdeliver. I'd rather underpromise and overdeliver. That's a hard no from engineering. That's a hard no from engineering. Let's make the trade-off explicit. Let's make the trade-off explicit. I hear the urgency and I share it. I hear the urgency and I share it. Can we align on the top priority? Can we align on the top priority? I'll push back on the timeline, respectfully. I'll push back on the timeline, respectfully. Let's not boil the ocean here. Let's not boil the ocean here. What would you cut to make room? What would you cut to make room? I'll manage up and keep leadership posted. I'll manage up and keep leadership posted. Let's get buy-in before we build. Let's get buy-in before we build. That request keeps moving the goalposts. That request keeps moving the goalposts. Let's put a stake in the ground. Let's put a stake in the ground. I'll socialize the plan with the team. I'll socialize the plan with the team. Let's not let perfect be the enemy of good. Let's not let perfect be the enemy of good. I'd like to renegotiate the deadline. I'd like to renegotiate the deadline. Let's keep the scope tight this quarter. Let's keep the scope tight this quarter. I want to protect the team's focus. I want to protect the team's focus. Let's find a middle ground here. Let's find a middle ground here. I appreciate you hearing me out. I appreciate you hearing me out. Let's put it in writing to be safe. Let's put it in writing to be safe. Let's speak in real engineering idioms. That fix is just a Band-Aid. That fix is just a Band-Aid. This code is a bit of a rabbit hole. This code is a bit of a rabbit hole. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's not reinvent the wheel. That's a can of worms nobody wants. That's a can of worms nobody wants. This module is held together with duct tape. This module is held together with duct tape. Let's keep it simple, stupid. Let's keep it simple, stupid. That's a foot gun waiting to happen. That's a foot gun waiting to happen. Let's dog food it before we ship. Let's dog food it before we ship. This is low-hanging fruit. Let's grab it. This is low-hanging fruit. Let's grab it. We're just kicking the can down the road. We're just kicking the can down the road. That approach doesn't pass the smell test. That approach doesn't pass the smell test. Let's ship it and iterate. Let's ship it and iterate. That's above my pay grade. That's above my pay grade. Let's not bike shed on naming. Let's not bike shed on naming. This is table stakes for the launch twinned. This is table stakes for the launch twinned. Let's time box the debate to 10 minutes. Let's time box the debate to 10 minutes. That's a nothing burger, honestly. That's a nothing burger, honestly. Let's dogpile on the highest risk first. Let's dogpile on the highest risk first. That's yak shaving. Let's refocus. That's yak shaving. Let's refocus. Let's leave it better than we found it. Let's leave it better than we found it. That's tech debt we'll pay for later. That's tech debt we'll pay for later. Let's call it good enough for now. Let's call it good enough for now. Great job making it to the end. The more you practice, the more natural your English feels. If this helped, hit like and subscribe, and turn on the bell. What scene would you like to practice next? Any topic or suggestion? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. See you in the next lesson.